Hi guys, welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we got another great one for you today. In our last video, we showed you how to custom pad just the text in your blurb module, and you could have different heights and make sure that they're all the same size, and we created these, what I call cards. Today, I'll show you a cool little hover effect you can add to it, just to add a little bit more interaction and interest value to your blurb modules. Really easy to do, so let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder. Let's roll on down to where we want to work. I'm going to add a new row that's going between these two here. I'm going to throw 3 columns in there, purely as that's what I've got above and below. And funnily enough, we're going to use a blurb module for this today. Okay, and here's the blurb module. As you can see, you can have an image or an icon if you prefer, but for this we're going to use an image for the zoom effect. Put your title in there, obviously. Put your content in there. This is a WYSIWYG section, so you can bold, italicize, make bullet lists, add media if you want to. Down below is where we add the image or icon. Now, obviously, we're going to use an image today. If you want to use an icon, flip this switch on. Plenty of icons to choose from. But for the image, just click on the placeholder and throw in whatever image you want to use on yours. Great. Only other thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to align that text in the center by going over to design. Boom. There we go. Fantastic. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now to create this zoom effect that we've got on these other ones, I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times. So we've got 3 modules, 2 little squares to duplicate. 1, 2, left click on a little cross to drag any of them across. Release to put it where you want it. And we'll do the same for the next one. Doesn't matter which one you use, they're all identical at this point. Okay, now we've got through these, I'm going to actually save this, save draft, and exit the visual builder. The reason I need to do this, I want to go down, there's a couple of class names I need to find out here. One's for the image, or what the actual image is sitting in, and the other one's for the image itself. Now I happen to know the image is just IMG. I'm using Google Chrome here with the inspector tool, so if I right click on it, hit inspect, it's actually highlighting our image at the moment. If I roll my mouse over it, you can see it's a sort of bluish color there. And we've got a class name of image there, IMG. So we need that one. But we're also going to need what it's sitting in, which is the ET Elegant Themes Page Builder Image Wrap right here. Where there's a gap there, that's a different class name right there. So I want to copy that. Double left clicking on it. But I just want the first class name, the image wrap there, without the inverted commas. I'm going to copy that and just make a note of it over here in the text editor, or any notepad will do. Now I've got that, I'm going to remember that IMG. We can target both the image to make it zoom, and also the thing it's sitting in to stop it spilling out everywhere. So let's go back into our visual builder. We'll roll back down to our little blurb modules here. Let's go into that first one. I'm going to show you 2 methods of doing this today. If we go over to our advanced, first method's going to be with some custom CSS. Second method's going to be with a CSS class. So let's click on custom CSS here. We're going to use the freeform tab. Now to select this particular module, all we need to write is selector. SELECTOR. Now remember, I wanted to target just the image. So I'm going to put a gap in there. And that thing, which is IMG. Let's open and close some more curly brackets. And we decide what we want to do with it. Well, initially, I don't want to do anything with it. I want it to be the normal size. But I'm going to copy this again. Control C. I'm going to drop down. I'm going to paste it below. After the IMG here, I'm going to put a colon right on the end of the G with no gap. It's important you don't put any gap in there. And then the word hover with no gap between the colon. HOVER. We've now created a hover state. Basically, anything we put in these little brackets now is going to happen when we put the mouse over it. So when I put the mouse over it, I want it to grow. I'm going to use a bit of what they call transform scale for that. TRANSFORM. scale, S-C-A-L-E. Right at the end of the E, again with no gap, I'm going to put some round brackets. Now I want to scale it up by, I don't know, half again, or even twice as big. If you want to scale it up by 50% or half again, put 1.5. That's 150%. If I hover over it now, you'll see it's jumping up to 150%. If you wanted to make it bigger, obviously put a bigger number in. For instance, if I put 2 in there, it's going to get even bigger. That's a little bit big for me. I think I prefer about 50%. Well, let's compromise. Let's say 1.7. How's that? So that would be 70% bigger. Great. But A, I don't want it to happen instantly like that. I want it to sort of gradually come in like our one here. And B, I don't want to see anything that's spilling out over here. Now, this is all called overflow. Anything that's flowing outside of our blurb module is actually called overflow. And that's where the other class name comes into it. So first things first, let's make that zoom a little more gradual by adding a transition duration. So in our selector image, not the hover, I'm going to go up to the top here, put my cursor between those two curly brackets there. I'm going to say transition dash duration, D-U-R-A-T-I-O-N, colon. Oh, we'll give it a time. Let's say 0.7 of a second or 3/4 of a second, which would be 0.75 s. Perfect. Now when I hover over it, you can see it's actually doing it gradually. Perfect. Now let's get rid of all this overflow. Now remember, I copied that other class name, the ETPB image wrap, which is what it's sitting in. So I'm going to go back to my little text pad and copy that. Let's push this down. I'll put this on the top. Again, we want to select this module. So I'm going to say selector. Then we're pasting that class name. As it's a class name, it needs a dot or a period in front. So make sure you put that first, then paste in the class name itself. Now we can open and close some curly brackets. And we'll say overflow, O-V-E-R-F-L-O-W, colon, and the word hidden, H-I-D-D-E-N. As you can see, now we're zooming in. There's no overflow there at all. Perfect. Once we've got that, we'll do a save. To extend it to our other blurb modules on this page or this section, I'm just going to do this row so these two have it as well. Simply highlight the module, right click on it. We're going to say extend blurb styles. If you want to, you can do every blurb on this page. I just want to do the row that this one's in. So I'm going to say to this row, I'm going to hit extend. Now, all of our little blurb modules have got that. Fantastic. Another way, if you've got a bunch of blurbs already on your site and you just want to use a class name and paste it in there, we can do that really easily too. So let's perhaps go into this one, change out that image. Remember, image and icon under the content there. We'll throw a different image in there. Let's go over to the advanced and delete the CSS that's actually in there now. Remember, it's in the custom CSS here. I'm going to select this all, Control A to select it all. I'm going to cut it or copy it, however you want to do, but you're going to need it in your clipboard. So I'm going to hit Control X to cut it. It's there in my clipboard. We should have no zoom effect here. Great. And to use the CSS class name, we'll save this. I'm actually going to save the page changes because I'll need to refresh it before I actually do this. I'm going to save draft and exit the visual builder. This time, I want to go down to Divi, to my theme options. If we roll down to the bottom here, we've got a custom CSS panel. Now I've got one in there already with a title. I'm going to actually delete it, pretend like I haven't got one in there. Now the code that we just cut from that module, I can paste in here by going Control V. But these selectors, I want to change it from selectors. We need to make up our own class name. Let's say, remember I said all class names have to have a dot or a period, so we'll put a dot there first. Let's call this BLURBZ perhaps for blurb zoom. Call it what you want. It needs to be unique. I like it to mean something to me. We can copy this now, Control C again, and replace our selector here on everything. Great. Now if we save our changes here, really important to save these changes. We'll go back to our page and refresh. Now we'll enable the Visual Builder. If we roll on down, to make any blurb have that effect now, all we need to do is give it the class name of Blurbs. Now when we're writing it in the actual module, we don't need the dot or period in front. So I'm just going to copy from the B to the Z there. Again, Control C to copy. Back to our page. Now this one doesn't have a zoom effect. We go in there. Advanced. This time we're going to go into CSS IDs and classes. Let's just roll this up a bit. Make sure you put it in the class name, not the ID. Control V to paste. Now if I roll over, it's got that same exact blurb effect. Fantastic. And if we go into this next one, obviously if I take it off, let's flip that picture. Back over to the advanced, we can get rid of what's in there. We'll pretend that that's not there. If it's a regular blurb, you can just add this class name again. Then put it in the class, not the ID. And we've got our zoom effect back. Now let's just test this on the front end because I found a little issue with this, doing it with a class name. I'll show you how to correct that if you have the same problem. Let's exit the Visual Builder. Go on back down to where we were working. That's fine. It's working absolutely perfectly. If you find that you still got a little bit of overflow showing there, we haven't in this case, which is great. We can add one more little piece of code. That's going to be after our overflow hidden. This is only if you have to use it. Put an exclamation mark on the word important. If you find it's working without that, great. Only use important if you have to. But if you find you've still got that overflow, just put the exclamation important after. It'll fix it for you. Again, make sure you save your changes. So there we have it, guys. There's two ways of adding a little zoom effect to your blurbs. One using the additional CSS freeform panel, and one using just a CSS class name. And anytime you create a new blurb, you just need to give it that class name, or just copy your CSS over from that first one there. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. We actually had a question about this when we did the padding on these down here. As you can see, really easy to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you. We'll make a little video just like this one. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignertechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.